are certain stories, at least for me, that make me take a step back and think, holy shit, this can actually happen to any single one of us. This story definitely put that into perspective for me. We're talking about Samantha Josephson in 2019. Samantha was a 21-year-old student at the University of South Carolina. She got in the car of who she thought was her Uber. It was not, and she ended up losing her life that night. Before we start, I know I'm going to get a ton of questions asking where this necklace is from. It's the cutest necklace I've seen in my whole entire life. It's by Gray Road, and you guys can use Michelle15 for 15% off. Samantha, also known as Sammy, is from New Jersey. She lived there with her mom, dad, and her older sister. Sammy was described by her friends and family as a ray of sunshine. She was a social butterfly, got along with everyone, could make just about anyone laugh. She just had a really happy and positive energy about her. Sammy was really into her studies. In high school, she became obsessed with the University of South Carolina, USC, and she attended her first year, August 2015. At USC, she met a boy named Greg. They quickly fell in love and started dating in 2017. They spent a lot of time together. Sammy lived a very well-balanced life. She had a good social life, good friends, did good in school, had a job, really put a lot of time and effort into all of her friendships as well as her relationship with Greg. Fast forward to her senior year in 2019, she's set to graduate in May. She had all these exciting plans for after school. She had been accepted into law school, and her and Greg would talk often about all these plans and dreams that they had. Unfortunately, Sammy would never get to live out those dreams. On Thursday, March 28th, Sammy and her friends have plans to go out. They decide they're going to go out in 5 Points. It's a common area where the college kids there go out. They get ready, they go to pregame at a friend's house. Around 12:30, they make their way to 5 Points, to one of their favorite bars called Bird Dog. They're having fun there. Around 2:04, Sammy calls Greg to let him know she's gonna get an Uber home. She does an Irish goodbye. She just leaves and figures that she's gonna see her roommates when they get home. She was ready to go to bed. She had to work the next day. 5 minutes after she talked to Greg, she gets into a black Chevy Impala and they drive off. Greg is tracking Sammy's location on Find My Friends and immediately notices that the way that the Uber is driving is the opposite direction of Sammy's apartment. Greg is trying to text her, call her, Sammy's not responding, and around 2:30, her location stops sharing with Greg. He calls her friends to see if they can check Find My Friends to see if they can see her location, but it just stopped moving on Montgomery Avenue as if her phone had been turned off. Her friends go over to Montgomery Avenue and start looking around to see if they can see Sammy. They can't find Sammy, so they assume that she must have just left her phone in the Uber. She went back to the apartment. She's probably sleeping and her phone just got lost, and Greg eventually falls asleep. Her roommates get back home closer to 5 in the morning and they notice that Sammy's bedroom door is open and she's not home. I guess they just don't think much about it. They are under the influence. They end up just falling asleep. Friday morning comes around. It's around 10:30. Her roommates wake up. Sammy's still not home and they notice that her work shoes are by her door, meaning she's not at work. They knew that she had a shift to get to in the morning. Sammy never misses work, so now they're concerned. They call her job to ask if she did come in. She did not. Roommates thought that you had to wait 24 hours to report someone missing, so they don't call the police yet. They just drive around trying to see if they can find her. Greg wakes up, realizes that no one knows where Sammy is still. He immediately gets in his car and makes the 2-hour drive to USC. On that drive, he calls her parents, lets them know what's going on. They get in their car back in New Jersey and start making the 12-hour drive. At 1:30 p.m., the roommates call the police to let them know their friend is missing. They describe Sammy, what she was wearing, what they were doing last night, and where she was last seen. The cops get there. Greg also arrives around the same time, and they're explaining to the police how Sammy got in an Uber and then her location was shut off when she was on Montgomery Avenue. Once the cops leave, the friends are trying to get into Sammy's computer to see if they can see a sign of anything. They realize that she got an email last night from Uber canceling the ride. Sammy's Uber that canceled the ride was a Dodge Charger. They then start retracing their steps from last night. They end up getting security camera footage from Bird Dog, and you can see Sammy waiting in the corner for a car, and she ends up getting into a black Chevy Impala. We know that was not her Uber, 1, because she got an email canceling the ride, and 2, because the cars didn't even match. The friends continue to walk around showing pictures of Sammy, asking if anyone has seen her. Cops then make their way to the bar. They end up getting a longer clip of the security camera footage. You see Sammy waiting in the corner, you see the black Chevy Impala driving around, and then it kind of just looks like it makes a hard U-turn, drives straight to Sammy. Sammy gets in the car and it quickly drives off. All law enforcement are now notified to be on the lookout for a black Chevy Impala. It's now around 4:20. The cops receive a call from a man saying that he was out turkey hunting with his friend and they ran into what looked like a dead human body. This was almost 80 miles away from where Samantha lived. They got the call at 4:20, but the cops didn't actually get there until 6 p.m. The body they find is identified as Samantha Josephson. It's in horrible condition. It's covered in stab wounds, covered in blood, covered in mud. The autopsy later reveals she had suffered over 120 stab wounds to her face, neck, shoulder, torso, back, lung, leg, and feet. It was clear that Samantha tried to fight for her life. She had a stab wound on her hand that went completely right through her hand, likely assuming that she used her hand to try and protect herself. Some of the stabs were so deep that they went through her skull and into her brain. It was assumed that she bled out within 10 to 20 minutes, and she bled out practically almost completely. They could only recover around 1 tablespoon left when they went to go do the autopsy. Her parents are still making the 12-hour drive, and they want to wait until they arrived to tell them the horrible news. Once her parents got there, that is when the police decided to tell them, her boyfriend, and her friends that Samantha's body had been found. They take a look into Sammy's bank information and they realize that someone tried to use her card at 2 different ATMs twice, once at 5:45 and once at 6:47 in the morning. They do end up getting the security camera footage from both of those ATMs, and you can see a young man wearing an all-black outfit and a mask. March 30th, there are some cops patrolling the 5 Points area and they see a black Chevy Impala, so they pull him over for a traffic stop. The driver is a young man and there is a female in the passenger seat. They ask the man to get out of the car. He does, but then he starts sprinting, full force, just running away. He gets chased. They catch him. This guy is 24-year-old Nathaniel Rowland. Nathaniel had been in trouble with the law before. Him and a friend got in trouble October 2018. They carjacked a car, forced the woman in the car to drive to an ATM, stole the money, and used it to buy a PS4. Let's talk about some of the evidence that was found in his car. A lot of bloodstains, footprints on the back windows, cleaning supplies, a rose gold iPhone, a pink keychain, and his car smelled like bleach. His phone records show that he was where Sammy was that night and that he also was in the location where her body was found. In my opinion, the biggest piece of evidence is that Sammy's DNA was found underneath his fingerprints. They bring him in for questioning as well as the female that was in the car, who is his girlfriend. Nathaniel, of course, denies that he knows anything or did anything. However, his girlfriend says that he was at her house that night. They fell asleep around 1:30 in the morning and then she woke up and he was gone. He ends up getting back home around 8 in the morning. He's wearing the same outfit that he had on the night before. He was supposed to give her a ride to work in the morning and her hat that she wore to work was in his car. She couldn't find it, so she asked him where it was and he said it's in the country with blood on it. And she asked him what that meant and he said, mind your own business. The sass, Nathaniel. When he does drive her to work, she notices that there's blood in the back seat and she also notices the rose gold iPhone just in the back of the car. She asks Nathaniel whose that is and he again just says to mind your own business. Later that day, the girlfriend says that she saw Nathaniel cleaning out his car as well as cleaning blood off of a knife. The girlfriend also tells the cops that she was scared of what he may have done and what he could do to her, so that's why she didn't call the police. Cops then go to the girlfriend's house to see if they can find any further evidence linking Samantha to Nathaniel. They do so many things that are linking them. For example, clothing with a lot of blood stained on it, a ton of cleaning supplies as well as a bloody knife, gloves that had both Nathaniel's and Sammy's DNA on them. They also tested the blood that was found in the car as well as in the trunk. It was a match to Sammy's DNA. The footprints also that they found in the back of his car are a match to Samantha's feet, meaning that she was probably trying to kick her way out of that car. And I don't even think I have to mention this, but the rose gold iPhone was Samantha's. Nathaniel Rowland is officially charged with kidnapping, murder, and possession of a weapon during a crime. He pleads not guilty and his trial is set for July 20th, 2021. The trial, they spoke about how this was probably initially a robbery gone wrong. They assumed that Samantha tried to fight back. Nathaniel got mad, killed her, dumped her body, and tried to steal her money and then sell her phone. July 27th, 2021, Nathaniel was found guilty on all charges. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So crazy also to me when you think about how one decision can change your whole entire life. And it's so sad when it's events like this that turn into something so violent and so heinous and so wrong for what seems to be no reason at all. Samantha's family has worked with lawmakers working for policies enhancing safety for rideshare passengers. Some of these include the What's My Name Foundation, the Samantha Josephson Ride Sharing Safety Act, Passenger Protection Act and Sammy's Law. That is the heartbreaking story of Samantha Josephson, and I know that I have a lot of girls that are my age, if not younger. If you have not heard this, please make sure that when you're getting in an Uber, you don't say your name. Make sure that you ask them who the Uber is for. And I'm not saying at all that what Sammy did was wrong. She was under the influence. I'm sure we have all done it, getting into the wrong car that we thought was an Uber. It's such an easy mistake to make, but please just make sure you are aware of your surroundings. I love you all so much.